All right, welcome everyone to the very first deep dive of the Urbanist's lens.
I'm excited to be here.
So picture this. You're in the middle of a bustling city, right?
Okay, yeah, I can see it.
Skyscrapers all around you, streets are alive with people, and you stumble upon one of those kind of hidden green spaces.
Love those.
Yeah, those little pockets of peace, right? But have you ever, actually stopped to think about what makes a city work? Like, what makes it actually tick?
It's a good question. I think a lot of people take it for granted.
Totally. And that's what we're going to be exploring in this deep dive. We're putting on our, urbanist's lens to kind of understand all those forces that shape the cities we live in, work in, explore all that.
Exactly. The things that make a city feel good or not so good.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why does some cities just feel better to get around in than others?
Right.
And that's where urban design comes in.
Uh-huh.
Now, I'll admit, when I first heard that term, I thought it was just about, architects making buildings look all fancy.
Yeah, I can see that. It's a common misconception.
Yeah, but it's way more than that, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's so much more than just aesthetics. Urban design, it's really about shaping the entire physical environment of a city.
So it's not just about the buildings themselves.
No, not at all. It's about everything. How the streets are laid out, how public spaces are designed, how transportation systems connect everything. Like all these pieces work together to create the bigger picture.
Okay, so like a giant puzzle.
Exactly. And the point of the puzzle, the goal, is to create a city that's not just visually appealing, but also functional,
Right.
livable, sustainable, good for everyone.
Makes sense. So who all is involved in this whole urban design process? Like, who are the key players?
Well, you've got your architects, of course, they're essential.
Of course.
But it goes way beyond that. I mean, you've got landscape architects who, they're the ones thinking about parks, green spaces, how to make the city feel alive.
Right.
And then you've got transportation planners. They're focused on, well, transportation, right?
Right.
Making sure people can get around easily and efficiently, whether it's by bus, train, bike, or even just walking.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we can't forget about environmental engineers. They make sure the city is designed sustainably so it's not hurting an environment.
Super important these days.
Absolutely. Oh, and then there are the policymakers. The folks setting zoning regulations and building codes, all that.
Right. Right. Shaping how the city develops overall.
Exactly. So it's a huge team effort.
Wow. Yeah. A lot of moving parts. But what about the people who actually live in the city? Like, do they have a say in all this?
That's where community engagement comes in, and it's a huge part of the process. I mean, who knows a neighborhood better than the people who live there, right?
Right. Yeah, makes sense.
So urban designers, they rely a lot on community input. They do surveys, hold public meetings, workshops, all that, to really understand what residents need and want.
So it's about designing a city that actually works for the people who live there. That makes sense. So we've talked about what urban design is and who's involved, but let's talk about the impact. Like, what are the real benefits of good urban design? What does it actually do for a city?
Okay, well, first off, good urban design can really make a city more connected.
Connected, how so?
Well, think about public transportation, right?
Yeah.
If it's well planned, it can seamlessly connect different parts of the city, making it easy for people to get around without needing a car.
Right.
And then there are bike lanes, those are important, making it safe and convenient for cyclists.
Yeah.
And pedestrian-friendly streets that are enjoyable to walk on, all of that encourages people to get out of their cars.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to live in a city where I could walk or bike everywhere.
Wouldn't that be great? And that's what we call walkability, and it has so many benefits. It makes people healthier, reduces traffic, and it even helps build a stronger sense of community because when people are out and about walking, they're more likely to interact with their neighbors.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. So it's like good urban design can actually make people happier and healthier.
Absolutely. And let's not forget the economic benefits, too.
Oh, right, yeah. How does urban design impact the economy?
Well-designed cities tend to attract businesses, tourists, new residents. They become desirable places to live and work. Think about like a vibrant downtown area with shops, restaurants, cultural attractions, all within walking distance of each other. That's what draws people in.
Right, yeah, it creates this whole, energy, right?
Exactly, and that energy translates into economic growth.
Makes sense. So it sounds like urban design is way more important than most people probably realize.
It really is. It's about creating cities that are not only beautiful, but also functional, sustainable, and enjoyable for everyone.
So as we wrap up our first deep dive, it's clear that urban design is about much more than just pretty buildings, right?
Right.
It's about creating cities that really work for people.
And for the planet.
Yeah, exactly. So for all our listeners out there, here's a little something to think about. As you go about your day, I want you to start paying attention to the urban design elements around you.
Like what?
Like, notice things like, how wide are the sidewalks? Where are the benches and streetlights placed? How do the buildings interact with the street? You can learn a lot about a city just by observing its design.
That's a great point.
So keep your urbanist's lens focused. And we'll see you in our next deep dive.
See you then.